and welcome back, everybody. Dan John here from danjohnuniversity.com. Welcome to episode 122. Before I begin, just last week, just after I finished my podcast, I found out that one of my heroes, Dave Draper, died. And Dave was the blonde bomber. He was on Beverly Hillbillies, and he was on the Monkees show. And oh, if you were a lifter of a certain age, and I think I am, Dave was a big influence. The bomber, his tuna and water diet is immortal. His writing style, the poet philosopher, he was brilliant. And of course, he and Larry published my work and completely changed my life because of that. And I just want to let you know what a debt of gratitude I have. If you go over to my Instagram, Coach Dan John, I have a little tribute to him. And if you're on Wandering Weights, I repeat the tribute. But if you're just listening, just remember there's a lot of really, really great people in this world. And go out and meet them all, okay? Let's get started. First question is from Asmir. I am from India and currently preparing to give the CS exam to launch a career in the field of strength and conditioning. Well, before I even look at your question, I'm still one of those people who thinks academic degrees are far more valuable than certs. I know I get a lot of pushback, especially when I say that at workshops given by those organizing bodies. And I also think that experience in the weight room, experience coaching, experience on the field of play coaching is a lot more valuable than studying for a test. There's certainly good information in there, fantastic, but at the same time, the reality of coaching is sometimes different. Let's go. What advice would you like to give me to do better in this field and earn a good amount of money? Well, Asmir, if you can figure out how to earn a good amount of money in this field, give me a call. I'd like to find out, most of the work I do is for free or just very, very little money. I remember one summer I got paid $1,400 to coach a weightlifting summer school course. Thank you, Chris Long, by the way. And the next year they changed who ran the program, and for twice the amount of work, twice the number of days a week, twice the number of hours, I got paid $400 for all that work. So that's the issue with this field. You got to be good at what you do. I think you really need to know the basics, the fundamentals, be able to, the great advice Coach Rick Bojack said when he said, "You, Dan John, you are the problem. Don't you get bored." You can't get bored in this field because you're going to say the same thing. And sometimes you'll say the same thing and you'll be like, didn't I say this already? And then you'll realize you did, and it already was 10,000 times, 100,000 times. There are some phrases I'm sure I'm in, I don't know, stay tall, go, 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 go. I don't know. I think you need a good foundation. So I think you need to know the Olympic lifts, the power lifts, the general calisthenics. I think you should compete in the Olympic lifts and compete in the power lifts. Doesn't mean you need to be world champion. It just means go on the platform, learn what arousal means. For the deadlift, you're going to have a lot. For the snatch, you're not going to have very much. I think it helps to do a martial art at some level, even if you just take, honestly, and a lot of this, by the way, can be done in 6 to 8 weeks. Find out there's a weightlifting course, sign up for it, join the organization, send your check in, get your singlet, get your shoes, show up. I guarantee you'll learn more in that day than all the nonsense I can teach you. Martial arts, you don't have to fight on the mat or anything, but take a short course and learn the basics of tumbling, falling, the basics of what's going on, some of the discipline from it. You'll see how much it carries over. I think you need to have an understanding of nutrition. I'm a big fan of what John Berardi is doing up there in Canada with Precision Nutrition. I think that's a really good program. I would say now I mean, I'd like to say it's, I wouldn't be surprised if I'm almost 1-to-1 on my diet nutrition books to my strength books, because so much more comes out in that field. Um, didn't even think about it. I just saw it because I was rereading this, but uh, this is Derek Sivers' book. It's called Anything You Want, and I think it might be the best modern book on entrepreneurism. Uh, I'm re-listening to Earl Nightingale's "Lead the Field." It's available now on YouTube. But when I'm driving around, I have my old CD player in my car, and I'm listening to Earl. This is Earl Nightingale, reminding you he was so good. But to me, I think you need to, you need to have, you know, Rolando tells us that there's four parts to being a trainer, and only one part is the actual strength conditioning, the personal training stuff. The rest is advertising, retention of your clients, and who can forget the fourth one? Oh, basic accounting and bookkeeping and cleaning toilets and stuff. That's why I like. That's why I've always liked a mixture of things. I've certainly cleaned a lot of mats in my life. I've wiped off a lot of barbells. Like, God only knows how many plates I've put back to where they're supposed to be, how many bars I've put back where they're supposed to be, how many kettlebells. Oh my God, kettlebells can they're like mice. They end up everywhere, everywhere. So yeah, so you need to have a foundation in economics, a foundation in accounting, a foundation in advertising, a foundation in business. Then you need these other things. And so one thing I would tell you, Esmer, is take your time. Don't, you're not going to get this past this exam and all of a sudden people are going to be sprinting you down on the street corner. Hey, help me, let me give you money. It's not going to happen. But if you build it up over time, people will show up. It's an amazing business. I know that was a stream of consciousness, but it is hard to do. And the most important thing you can do is just, it's sometimes called canny, constant and never-ending improvement. And that's the key, I think, is constantly trying to improve yourself and your business model and what you know. So good luck to you, my friend, and thank you. We have a question from Greg. Greg says, you talk, that would be me, about changing exercises based on the season or every 6 weeks. Everything works for about 6 weeks. Every program works for about 6 weeks, yeah. You talk about needing to do the basic human movements in roughly equal volumes. I think you should do the push, the pull, and the squat in roughly equal volumes, but not necessarily the hinge and low to carry, or groundwork, or climbing, or break-eating. But the push, pull, and squat, basically, if you're a North American male, you probably need to pull more because of all the pushing you've done in your career. As long as over the course of the year, I do all the basic human movements in roughly equal volume, will there be a big drawback for not doing one or two specific movements for the entire season, 3 months, while I focus on the other basic movements? No, Greg. In fact, if you really listen to what I talk about on Easy Strength, whenever I do an Easy Strength program, I stop squatting, and for 2 months, up 4 months in the one experiment, didn't squat. I did the movement of squatting every day. I did goblet squats, but I didn't squat. Interesting, at the end of that, when I went into an Olympic lifting program, my squat actually was better, which makes me just even more convinced that my insights on push, pull, hinge, and squat, that quadrant I've been working on lately, is even more correct. I'm a push hinger, and my squat improves when my hinge improves, which makes no sense to me. With a busy life, it often seems easier to just focus on one or two movements for a period of time versus trying to do everything else. Yeah, I like that idea. So, you might want to pick, that would be kind of an interesting thing. Do a seasonal approach. Now, obviously, in the winter here in Utah, you probably aren't going to do a lot of Turkish get-ups and bear crawls because the ground is so cold. But boy, that's a good exercise. Turkish get-ups would be a fun summer thing. Turkish get-ups, bear crawls, and farmer walk suitcase carries. There's your summer. And then winter, what are the two fastest things you can get done? Probably, I don't know, in my case, push and hinge because I'm so good at it, yeah. So in the winter, I would do either press and kettlebell swing or a press and deadlift. There you go. That's power to the people for you right there. And that's in fact what Dr. Tom Fahey told me I should do. And I should have listened to him when he said that to me 23, 24 years ago. But I'm just too, insert adjective, stupid. With a young child and a job in construction, loaded carries and crawling is a large part of my day. Well, good. With this movement variety, does it make it less important to do all the basic movements every week? Well, yeah, and if so, what you're left to do is a push, pull, squat, and hinge. Yeah, I like this idea. I've never done a pull squat program, but boy, I mean, that would be pull-ups and front squats. Now, I did have a program that recommended that years ago. It was called the Perfect 18 Weeks or something like that, where we just kept doing power to the people movements and just subtle changes every week to the lifts. Yeah, I think it's just fine, Greg. I would try to keep good notes while you do this, because I think there's going to be some things going on in your notes that will, and if you do it for 12 months, your notes to yourself are going to be really illuminating. Because I think, like, if you did the push hinge, like if in the winter you decided to go, just do, straight up power to the people, 5 days a week, 2 sets of 5 overhead press, 2 sets of 5 deadlift variation. And you did that for, 12, 13 weeks probably. A season's 13 weeks. 12 is a number we often stop at, but it's correctly 13. At the end of those 13 weeks, that's a fair volume of pushes and hinges. And then in those last 3 to 5 weeks, as you're finishing that program and kind of looking forward to your spring pull squat stuff, you can do pull-ups and front squats or whatever. It'll be kind of exciting. Of course, if you're like me, pulls and front squats would be a nightmare for 13 weeks or wherever it is, 5 weeks, whatever. I like the idea, Greg, and congratulations on the child, and congratulations on the construction job. And it's nice to see someone thinking outside the box a little bit. So good luck to you. Thank you. And get back to me on it, okay? Thanks. We've got a question from John with no H in his name. I'm a 28-year-old, 6'2", 255, size 36 waist. So those are all good measurements. And the reason I bring this up is because with your 36-inch waist at 255, 6'2", at 28, when you told me your best lifts, I'm not being a jerk. I'm just saying I thought they'd be a little higher. Male who squats in the high 300s, deadlifts in the mid 4s, and presses in the low 200s. I condition with sprints, sleds, kettlebell stairs, sandbags, etc. I ruck, walk, and airdyne for 30 to 50 minutes, 2 to 3 times a week. I typically get around 10,000 steps a day. That's great. And that's a lot of cardiovascular work when you really tally that all up. That's pretty good. While my diet certainly isn't perfect, I do try to limit my carbs to 100 grams per day and stick to your advice of meat, veggies, and water. This is good. I'd be interesting to see your levers, because everything you're doing is really kind of cool. And then, with your experience in this working out, you should probably be deadlifting over 5. And again, it might just because you don't go after it. But let's get to the question. While I know you're not big on venturing into the land of medical advice, I do know that you have some great tips on lifestyle change. I recently went to the doctor who told me I have high blood pressure that is based off previous visits as well, and hypertension. I feel like I'm doing a lot of things and right in his diet and exercise-wise, especially for people my age, and I'm concerned about the doctor's comments. I'd be extraordinarily grateful for any advice you can share to help my current blood pressure status. Well, you don't. There's no discussion here on your social or personal life, and that's fine. I understand. Um, we do know that like dogs, cats, and babies tend to lower males' blood pressure. We also know that in my case, for example, when I do something charitable like donate blood, I'll come in with a really high blood pressure, but then I'll test it a few days later. Now, I do have the white coat thing with the blood pressure at the American Red Cross, basically because they usually make me sit around. My appointment's at 2, and they make me sit around until 3:15. It pisses me off, to be honest with you. I'm not the most adult person you'll ever meet in your life. But, one thing, so dog, cat, baby, you're walking, you're training. The only thing is there areas in life that you show empathy and compassion? I know that's kind of strange to say that on a strength training podcast, but I'm wondering out loud if there's an area in your life. Every time I think about how I start my day with a 15-minute meditation, and I do that to. Well, for a lot of reasons. It helps me with my concussion issues and it helps me with this and that. But I also find that when I get better, and as I've gotten better and better and better at meditation, my blood pressure has gotten lower and lower and lower without any blood pressure medicine. Boy, I would hate to see you 28 starting on blood pressure medicine, because that's going to start that whole little boing, boing, boing thing throughout your life as you fight through up and down with it. So let's just start simple. Well, one little thing that I'm not seeing anything here, but I'd love to see you have an off week. Let's say, it's 52 weeks a year. That's 4 times 13. I mean, I wouldn't mind you training hard for 12 weeks and then just take a week off, or even longer. I mean, I still think one of the smartest things a hard training person could do is to go to an all-inclusive resort and hang out on the beach and the scuba and, I don't know, play volleyball and whatever the hell people do in all-inclusives, sleep in, eat, let your body, completely change things up. I think there's great value in it, but short of that, I'd like to know what your self-care is. I have a sauna right to that door right there. Through that door to the left is a sauna. I think sauna for me is a remarkable way to bring everything down. Meditation, I have a meditation mask. It's a big V. It makes me look like Wolverine, except you can't see anything. And then, it's got those Bluetooth earplugs in. And so when I am meditating, I have no light. And this time of year it's even nicer for me, because when I meditate in a cold room, just by putting the thinnest of covers over me, I just go, and it just really brings things down. I'd be interested in sauna, steam, massage, puppy, kitten, baby, all-inclusive resort, daily meditation, manicure and pedicure, anything that makes things go down. I'd be interested to know what books you read, what movies you see. If you spend your nights gaming like this, maybe that's an issue, and instead of doing that, maybe doing some simple meditations or something like that would be far, far better. I don't know. I hope that helps. I would try to do as many simple things I could outside of going into taking the drugs yet. Oh, one other thing. Ask members of your family about blood pressure. If high blood pressure runs in your family, as it does, just maybe find a family member or two who doesn't and just see what they're doing and see if that can help you, okay? John, it's a good question, and I don't feel like I gave you any medical advice, but I did my best to help you, okay? Thanks, and stay in touch. Thank you. We have a question from Tim. He says, I have two boys, 9 and 11, who are both active in sports most of the year. I began training them recently and currently have them doing the bulk of their work with loaded carries, okay, along with push-ups, pull-ups, and presses with kettlebells. We keep the reps fairly low, no more than 5%, while focusing on good form and not too heavy about 2 days of work, 2 days a week. Yeah, that's good. Do you see any problem with training children that age as long as they're focused on good form? No, I don't see any problems at all. I would, my daughters were around weightlifting their whole life. They had kettlebells in their rooms. I think it's just fine. My thought is if they're old enough to participate in organized sports, they should be able to safely begin training GPP. Yeah, the only thing I'd argue with you on that is don't have them play organized sports. There's very little carryover between little kid sports and elite performance. Now, there is true that in golf, it's probably true. Tennis is basically rich kid sports. It's true. And maybe in some places it would be like maybe hockey and wrestling, the cold weather sports. It would have an advantage, but I think you can overcome that in wrestling, especially if it's something you really want to do. And with hockey, it's just skate times ice time. One is fast twitch dominant, and the other is slow twitch. I have no idea how you know that. My brother Gary said I was the slowest person in the world, and I believed that BS. And it turned out when I got to college, I was really actually extremely fast. But at 8 years old, I wasn't as fast as him when he was 6. When we were playing in the streets, he was 16 and I was 8, and he was faster than me. I wonder why. Does that matter, or better yet, would you change the approach with either one of them? Nah. And don't be surprised if there's a magical switch that happens around puberty. I feel if kids started with loaded carries to teach them how to move and breathe under load, very good point right there, and teach them to link their bodies together, excellent point, could be a huge benefit in their teenage years and beyond. Do you agree or have anything to add to this? Yeah, the only, I wouldn't mind seeing you, I think the pull-ups are fine. I think the loaded carries are fine. The only thing I'd really say is I would love to see a deadlift in there, just because, like you said, it'll teach the body how to knit up. Picking up a loaded carry is a deadlift movement, but yeah. And if you can teach them authentic squatting, the goblet squat, the overhead squat, boy, that's going to be money. As soon as you can, let's get them doing the Olympic lifts, especially the snatch. Okay? Good luck to you, and let me know if that helped. 2 Tims in a row. Another Tim question. At a recent competition, I squatted 217.5K, bench pressed 132.5, and deadlifted 250 at a body weight of 98. I achieved my goal total, but now I'm burnt out for those long, heavy pre-competition training sessions. Yeah, that's the problem with peaking or going hard, going heavy, yeah. I would like to spend less time training overall so I can use that time to attack my professional goals as a graduate student in science. Then what sort of training programs or even just general guidelines would you suggest for a strength athlete just after a major competition? Yeah, that's easy. I'm just going to tell you what Tommy Kono says. After a Olympic lifting meet, after a powerlifting meet, you become a bodybuilder. And I would say you could probably even break it down to 3 whole body workouts a week. Here you go, 5 sets of 5. A press, a pull, front squat, back squat, a hinge variation. Since you're a power lifter, I wouldn't do deadlifts on the floor. Maybe Romanian deadlifts or a variation that you'd like, and just do that. And 5 sets of 5 or 3 sets of 8 and enjoy it. To me, please correct me if I'm wrong, easy strength seems like a good option as it would allow me to focus on non-competition lifts such as the overhead press, chin-up, row, and carry. That's funny, we said the same thing. Okay. I also want to regain my mobility for the front squat, and I'm considering using movements as a very light warm-up, not a light lift. I agree 100%. However, boy, that's a lot of direction changes here, Tim. I also recognize that I should redevelop my work capacity to support my next phase of hypertrophy training, but I'm worried about chasing too many rabbits. I would say it depends on how many times a year you lift. I mean, if you're getting, that's one thing I liked about Tommy Kono's program. He was using like an 8-week prep for an Olympic lifting meet, and then he would bodybuild until he got 8 weeks out. And if something just came up, like a small regional meet, he might not even really prep for that. He would just show up and lift. And like he and the other guy, when they did that big tour through Germany, basically lifting in competitions every Saturday for a long time. I think Lee James, the great American Olympic lifter, when he went on that tour of Europe, he was getting personal records almost every single competition. And I think I'm right about this. And of course, in '76, he got the silver medal. But sometimes there is a value in competing a lot in the power and Olympic lifts. Most people don't talk about it anymore, but I think it'd be a wonderful thing, man, if you could compete like in, I don't know, 1 year, 12 to 15 Olympic lifting meets or powerlifting meets, where every couple of weeks you're back on the platform. A lot of people are going to go, what is he talking about? Well, it's the idea that competition lifts are so different than training lifts. And it'd be like guys who do the Highland Games every Saturday. A lot of the guys tell me, yeah, my workouts is I do a recovery workout on Monday. I touch some weights on Wednesday and move around a little bit. And then I compete again on Saturday. I just keep doing that. I'm like, whoa, that's a clean athlete. Now the dirty ones do all kinds more. Would you suggest trying to improve work capacity while also following easy strength? And if so, how would you suggest doing it? You can do easy strength and then take the loaded carries really seriously. So you could but stick with something simple like 2 sets of 5. 2 sets of 5 in the push, 2 sets of 5 in that row you were talking about. Do the front squat and warm up for practice. Don't count it as a lift. Do a hinge variation. Kettlebell snatches might be great. And then maybe do 2 loaded carry things a day and really go after it. I would have as much variation in loaded carries as I could through a week. Maybe one day is the prowler, another day is the sled, suitcase carries. Mix and match as appropriate. Read my work on that, and I have tons of stuff, okay? Thanks. That's kind of a fun question, okay? Thank you. We have a question from Jeff. Jeff says this. He's age 61, just a child, 5'10", 200 pounds. I'm entering month 5 post-op of a distal bicep tendon repair. First of all, thank you for your advice for training my good side right after surgery. Yeah, it helps. It was tremendous help. I have graduated from physical therapy doing 3 sets of 10 bicep curls with 20 pounds. Okay? I have also just started kettlebell easy strength over there on Dan John University with the goal of being able to return to all lifts by February 1st. Boy, Jeff, first off, I was about to say rationale, but really it's your rational approach that just really makes me go, wow, that's good to hear. You give yourself plenty of time to get your goals done, and I think and you're honestly very unique from a lot of the questions I get. I don't always answer them on the podcast. The unreasonable ones I like to just email back. I was like, well, I really got to think this through. I like this. However, I need to continue to strengthen the bicep. I was wondering if the easy strength rep protocol on bicep curls would be an effective replacement for the 3x10 scheme. You know what? Just do easy strength, and then just somewhere in the workout do your 3 sets of 10, man. If it's like, was it John Candy and Splash? If it worked then, it's going to work now. No, I wouldn't. Don't get too cute. Stick with what you're doing. I think you're doing okay. All right. I think you're doing okay. Yeah, just keep doing those 3x10 until you feel like you got it shut down and you're doing fine. Thank you. I like that. Got a question from Tim. I'm a rock climber and weightlifter, has been training for close to a decade. In the past year and a half, I've become a practicing Buddhist, and I have found that familiarizing myself with meditative states has had a significant effect on my training. Same with me. Most notably, my meditation practice has helped me to quickly find my focus for hard climbing sequences and heavy single lifts. I understand that you have a meditation practice, and I wonder if you have noticed similar benefits, or perhaps using different benefits than what I've described. More specifically, do you ever find yourself using meditation techniques during a workout or performance events? Yeah, everyone who sees me knows that I I have an ability to flick the switch. Tim, yeah, that can't, your name can't be Tim. We cannot have possibly three Tims in one week, but it's Tim. Okay, Tim, and your name's Tim. Um, I have an ability to flick the switch, and of course it took me years to train that. I use so the meditation techniques I use for going to sleep is one set, and I use. By the way, I use Brain FM if I need help. Um, I do practice. I like the method where you tighten and relax, tighten and relax. Um, my forehead is cool. My forehead is cool. My belly is warm. My belly is warm. You go through it. You tense your jaw and loosen up. You tense your traps and loosen them up. I like that technique. I don't need it as much as I used to because as you get better at it, it goes faster and faster. I do the morning meditation to help me with my concussion issues and just prepare me for the day. For competition, I in the past I did a lot of visualization, and that seemed to help me. But what helps me much more is getting a piece of paper and having typing up a to-do list and being able to. For me, a to-do list is more valuable than visualization. If I if I if I have brand new shoelaces on my lifting boots and my belt is clean and my singlet is clean and dry and I have options for socks depending on what I feel like, and I have an extra roll. In fact, it's right there over there. I have an extra roll or two of athletic tape for my thumbs because I use the hook grip. That seems to help me a lot more than visualization. But yeah, I would put all those into mental training, and I have a few tricks I use. I definitely have a ritual that I use before I lift, and I can't turn that off. I've been doing it for so long. That's just how I get ready to put my hands on the bar. So yeah, I think there's great value in meditation. Yeah, I obviously I practice it every day. I encourage others to do so. Um, I don't want to go too far with it because some people, they take it and they turn it into, like horoscopes and stuff. But there's real value in it. And then let's move on because, sometimes you just have to, you can't meditate. You got to put your hands on the bar, get excited, and pull it off the floor. So, thank you though, Tim. It's a good question. I like the way you phrased it too. It made it easy to answer. So thank you. Our last question is from Noah. Do you think there's anything special in how the great Donald Dinnie, I don't know his training program, and Jeff Capes trained, and I do know his program. Jeff basically bench pressed every single day of the week in order to become top tier multi-sport athletes. Or is it more that they're extremely gifted and built to become successful athletes regardless of any method? Well, there's going to be obviously some things about one of them for sure that seem to help them, but elite shot putters are just born different. They're just born better, my friend. They're just better. I would talk to Brian Oldfield about some of his stuff, and it'd be like, this stuff is, it makes no sense on how he wanted to train sometimes. And people who try to practice his methods didn't go very far because, they weren't, Brian was 6'5", but he had bow legs. He'd have been 6'8" plus if he'd had straight legs. He could dunk a shot put in a basketball hoop, late when he was in his 40s. Guy's a freak of nature. So when you look at his training programs, and I did, and I used some of his ideas, but it's not for everybody. And that would be the key. Always drink deeply in the information of other people. Like, here in my office, those are all magazines from the past, and then I have books throughout the home, and books, library over there, and I study the methods of all kinds of people. But the key, I think, Noah, is to you take what works and you discard the rest. And I hope that helps. It was nice to get a question from you. We had so many questions from Tim. When I saw your name, Noah, I was worried we'd be flooded. Well, that's enough for you. Listen, I enjoyed today's questions. I hope you know that. I enjoy most of the questions I get. If you have questions, remember, podcast at danjohnuniversity.com. I'll do my best to answer each and every one. And until next time, let's all keep on lifting and learning, okay? Thank you.